and I'm emotional, right? Like I am very rational.
Can you say that one more time for the people in the back?
Don't cry. It's interesting because I got a lot of people coming to me either wanting to take lessons or or admiring because of my height, because I'm not super tall and I'm able to dance with taller people and make it feel comfortable.
It's like Zouk Planta is like a funny name that we call when people dance Brazilian Zouk, but they don't really move much. They just stay in place. They work on the breathing and like small isolation type connections. So you're just like in place doing.
At this age, we start thinking more about what's the purpose of what you do, So whenever we see what it can help transforming lives, I feel like, okay, that's the reason why I do this.
For a long time, Julissa was actually my role model. Like when I was dabbling more into Zouk, she was the person that I would look up to and be like, oh, wow, she's like me, so I can be like her, I can dance like her. And because like she has the same type of hair that I do, same skin color. And I was like, oh, it's not only like white people who are, skinny with straight long hair that can dance. So I felt like I was more represented.
Welcome to the Stats to Assets podcast. We have some great guests, some Brazilian Zouk dancers, instructors, some different type of athletes, but some very swaggy type of athletes. So I want to welcome Ayane and Gustavo to the show. Welcome to the show.
Hey, very nice.
Yeah, so we're in Denver at the Zouk Festival, Elevation Festival. My first Jack and Jill that I hope to do well in.
Do you know what a Jack and Jill is?
Dude, who? Me?
No,
they don't. No, let's tell them.
Okay.
Tell them.
So what is a Jack and Jill?
You, I said Jack and Jill. Come on, you're the expert. You're the expert.
Jack and Jill is just a competition that happens with dance, and basically you don't know which songs you're dancing and with who you're dancing. So like during the time of the dance, and you dance with random partners for random songs, and then there are judges that judge in and then placing you. And then you can win some prizes, sometimes they get like free pass for events, or some events even give some cash prizes, so it's fun. Yeah.
Some money.
I'm sure we're gonna get into that, but just for the records, we are instructors of Brazilian Zouk dance, which is a partner dance, so like kind of salsa bachata style. So that's where the Jack and Jill things happen.
Yeah, it started on the swing dances actually. That's when it started, and we just stole it.
Yeah, because Brazilian.
Brazilian. Oh my God!
Edit that.
That's her, not me. Okay, that's reference.
Okay, so all right, let's introduce yourselves. So tell us who you are, Gustavo, and then Ayane, you'll go.
Okay, so I'm Gustavo Martins de Araújo. People have a hard time saying my name, but yeah, I'm 35 years old now, with like 18 face.
Yep.
So I've been dancing since very young. Like I started dancing Brazilian dance back time in Brazil. I started teaching also very young. So my first class assisting, I was 14 years old, and then I just developed on that path. In Brazil, we did a lot of different partner dances, not only Brazilian Zouk, but samba de Azevedo. That's a samba that I do with a partner, not the carnival one. There's our version of swing dances, that's called soltinho, forró, that's Brazilian dance. Learned some Argentine tango and salsa too. And yeah, I did like my whole career there in Brazil, like learning how to teach. Teach was my passion. Did performing and competition as well, but main thing for me was always teaching. And then I moved to the US. I was already 28 when I moved to the US, to Tennessee, and was the moment of shock because I was working mainly with samba in Brazil, and here samba is pretty much non-existent. Like it's really hard to find places where you can like bring samba to. So I started being invited to teach some samba at Zouk events, and then I just had to get more involved with the Zouk scene. And yeah, my life happened on this way. I've been dancing Zouk since then.
How do you spell samba?
So how I spell it?
Yeah.
S-A-M-B-A.
All right.
Samba.
So
Yeah.
people know.
Yeah, you can Google it.
They can Google it.
Google Gustavinho.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Am I in trouble?
Nah. It's gonna be good stuff.
Okay.
And I am Ayane. Ayane Marques de Azevedo is the full passport name, but I go by Ayane Azevedo, which is already complicated enough.
Can you say that again for the people that didn't get it in the back?
It spells Ayane. I always have to repeat that, but anyhow. I am 15. No.
Of dance, not yet.
I'm 32 now. A February baby, so 33rd birthday is coming up soon. 2 months. Yeah. And like dance for me has been a big part of my life. I started dancing. I was 7, and I started with ballet. So different from Gustavo, I started with like the solo dances. So I did ballet, contemporary, jazz, modern, and some other dances. Like those solo dances. Then later on, like maybe around 17, I found the partner dances in Brazil. So that's when I started getting involved with samba de gafieira as well, and bolero, and forró, and those dances that Gustavo just mentioned. I did that just for fun for a long time, and my favorite part was just like social dancing and performing. So one of the biggest things I did in Brazil before leaving to the US was dancing the opening ceremonies of the Olympic Games in Brazil, 2016. So that was a lot of fun. So many artists, like a lot of people involved. It was like a big show, a lot of rehearsals. So. But anyhow, so dance was always part of my life on and off for some different reasons, always like some parallel type of jobs and things like that. And I moved to the US, I was 25, that was like 7 years ago, or 8. And I kind of like started feeling homesick after like 1 year, maybe a year and a half living here, because there wasn't a lot of my culture. I was living in Marietta, little city in Georgia, and there wasn't a lot of like dance related. So I went to California for a little while, met a guy who wasn't my friend, but became a friend at that time. And he was Brazilian, like super involved in the dance community in Brazil before he moved. And he took me and my friends out to dance, and I was like, you know what, that's what I need. When I came back, I was looking for places to do samba, which was my main dance at the time as well. But I couldn't find, so I found Zouk later on, like for random reasons. And that's where like I got hooked up, and I was like, okay, I found my little piece of home here in the US, and I could never leave anymore. So yeah, been since then just like obsession.
The story of many of the immigrants, like like you get here, they get homesick, and try to find something that connects you to home. And like, oh yeah, like for me, same deal. Like samba was not, Zouk was not the main dance that I used to do in Brazil. When I was here, like I was trying to dance what I like, so I went to like Argentine tango events or salsa events, but it was not it,
Yeah, I went to ballroom as well.
Oh, wow.
Like, oh, they have samba in the ballrooms. I'm like, wow, so exciting. And when I got there, I was like, it's a little bit different.
Yeah,
a little
very
bit different.
different.
So don't
Very
get too
different.
excited. But yeah, it didn't click. So, but Zouk was like the thing. That was the thing. Yeah.
So you forgot something. What about your professional roller skating thing?
Oh, the roller skating thing. Yeah, so I've done a lot of that too,
I
because
didn't even know that.
you didn't know I did a lot of roller skating. So actually, like Carnival and New Year's, like Christmas events, like parades. I did some of those like for a few years in a row. I even danced like a Xuxa, Xuxa.
Oh,
Yeah, she like is an artist in Brazil. She usually
TV host.
Yeah, TV host show. And she used to have this, TV shows for kids, and so she was really known, like, by everybody.
South
She's
America
like
in general.
an idol, and she has this Christmas show every end of the year, used to, and I danced for 2 of her, events, and like I danced roller skated. So it was
Interesting.
a whole thing, a whole choreography.
So have to create a performance with like roller skating.
Man, I did that.
You do now.
That's how I ended up parading Carnival for the first
I
time.
mean, Zouk,
Imagine
those sneakers that they have, like that you can get the little thing
I
on
do.
the bottom, like.
Larissa from Lucia has one of
Oh,
those.
see, yeah, I
Mhm.
should get
I
something
can
like
borrow
that. Huh.
Yes, but so yeah, I did that. I
Interesting.
danced in Carnival like a few years because of the roller skating. They were like recruiting people to create a whole, ala, a whole segment
Mm-hmm.
with just roller skating people. I was there, did that for 3 years too.
I don't have
It was
that
so much
skill.
fun.
I tried ice skating here. Shame.
So was it the
Shame.
four skates or the blades?
It's the blades.
The blades.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You was outside, or where were you at?
Outside, so like for Carnival, we actually paraded down the Sambódromo, which is a place in Brazil where they have like the famous Carnival parade. So we go for like a whole hour with the dance schools, so there's drum section, a bunch of other people in costumes, and like a whole story behind it. So we were like people on the skates, and like the first year I did it, there was a big prop, like a head that was ginormous. I couldn't touch the top of the head with my hands like this. And we had such heavy costumes, like mine was a Japanese, like the kimono, and it was so heavy, so heavy. So we had that, and we had the head. We just had like a little hole to see things, and we were skating on it. And I was like, oh my God. And we had to do the choreo. It was crazy. But we survived. Nobody fell.
You're
Everybody
still
was
alive.
alive.
I mean, with some issues, but somewhat.
Okay, so talk about how did y'all meet and become partners, dance partners?
Who starts? You?
He likes telling the story, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, well, I was in Nashville, Tennessee, and there was an event happening there, a workshop that I was not organizing at the point. It was like a friend of mine organizing, and she brought a Zouk artist called Jerry Lai, and
I lived in Atlanta at that time, so like more downtown Georgia.
yeah, and
Just close.
that was like 4 hours drive to Nashville, even take. And then that was the first event that she went
For Zouk.
for Zouk outside of Georgia. So she went to Nashville, and then I remember she got a little bit late for the class, and people were like warming up, right? Time. And then Jerry was playing a Brazilian song, and then she got in singing the lyrics, So I was like, she might be Brazilian. Because Brazilian don't have a look. Like there are so many different types of Brazilian that you sometimes you look at someone and say, that person kind of give me Brazilian vibe, but I'm not sure.
It can be white, black.
Yeah,
like
any type, any
Asian.
sort. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ayane got in, I was like, And then we connect at times, start like, we dance a little bit, and then life happened, and a lot of little situations here and there, we end up collabing, like teaching at events, or I was having an event in Nashville, she would go there and we teach together.
He came to Atlanta too, like many times, because we were hosting other events. So we were like very close scenes. So small scenes, but close enough. So whenever they had events in Tennessee, then we would all from Atlanta go there. And if we had an event in Atlanta, then people from Tennessee would always come and visit. So we were always kind of like connecting some sort of way. And I mean, Brazilian people, we just vibe.
Bond, yeah.
It's like, oh man, you're Brazilian, hey, let's go do things together. So.
Yeah, and then later on, like she had a partnership there in Atlanta, and then she moved. She was like changing her life and stuff, and end up that our coaches, because we were training together with the team for Paulo and Luisa
In
Florida, in Miami.
Yeah.
We at that point,
Yeah, I think
I
you
was
had moved
already
already.
moved. Yeah, I was already living there.
So he moved to Miami at some point. I
Yeah.
was still in Atlanta, but then we were like training with Paulo and Luisa down in Miami. So I was flying twice every month.
Yeah.
And he was already there.
And then Paulo was like, because that was the main goal of the team, was to compete at the World Championship.
Last year.
That was the first edition of the event. And he was like, oh, you know what? You should, that was my phone. You should, like, my phone.
It was already dead. Now it's dead for
Yeah, it's dead for real.
better.
So she said, Paulo said, oh, you guys should like compete together at the Originals division. That's a competition where there's a routine, but there are no lifts. And like needs to be 80% of Zouk content and stuff. So like, I don't know, we're not really into competition, but they like kind of telling us that it would be a good idea, and it did.
Yeah, so then we started like we looked for a song. We didn't really have a lot of time. That was like May. So we were like, okay, let's do this. We're already here. And we needed to I was working remotely, and they needed us to rehearse a little more when it was coming close to August, the competition month. So I ended up just staying in Florida in June and July. So we chose a song. We started just, practicing together Paul and Luisa helped a lot, with choreographing. So they
Fernanda and
built
Jessica as
pretty
well.
much a lot of things. Then we started getting input from other dancers, Fernanda and Jessica, so like help from everybody else. Next thing you know, it was like 2 weeks before the competition, and we have something. Not the whole thing, but we have something. Anyways, did we talk about Future Zouk? We skipped the part.
No, yeah, that's
Yeah,
alright.
so
Yeah.
anyhow, then the week of the event, we actually have the choreo, and we got costumes made in Brazil, and then adjusted. It was a crazy, crazy. It was crazy, but we did it. We made it happen in like 2 months. So competition came around in Phoenix in August, and we did compete with the team. So it was the Zouk United Dance team, and we competed as a couple as well in the originals performance. So it was good. We got first place on
On
both.
both, yeah. And part of winning the competition was like teaching the following year at the World Championship. So we're like, you know what? As we're teaching next year, we should, start collabing more and teaching at the event. So we kind of started with that, like, testing the waters and seeing how it goes. And yeah, we got here. Like most of the events, we go and are hiring us again for next year, and like we have like kind of plans until 2025 for events. So it's
Yeah, it was kind of random, but it just really worked out. So we were like, okay, we're just gonna dance, compete, and whatever.
Right.
And from there, it's like, oh, okay, so you guys get to teach next year. So we're like, well, you don't have a partner right now. I don't have a partner. Might as well just be like, want to work together, do a little more things. So it just really worked naturally, and here we are.
Boom. Okay, blow it up. So before that, had y'all competed before?
Never in Zouk for me.
no, not exactly either.
Actually, I don't think I ever competed in dance. I did like auditions, but not a competition.
Yeah.
Not a competition. Okay.
I did one Jack and Jill, so that counts. Like for that, one or two. I think I did 2 Jack and Jills. Don't remember anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was all that I've done before the Worlds. Because Ayane was.
Rose was my first Jack and Jill also.
Oh yeah, no, so I had done one elevation the year before, and then I did elevation right after Worlds.
It was like his third elevation in a row.
This is my third elevation. in a row.
Third elevation.
Yeah.
So how was it? How did you all feel getting ready? You had 2 months, right? To get ready for both of those, for both performances, or just y'all's partner?
Yeah, for hours.
Okay. Yeah, tell me about the process. Like, how was that first competition, first partner dance, new or partner competition, and new partnership?
Yeah.
Challenges.
You want the honest feedback?
Yeah, that's what we doing.
Because I mean, sometimes it can sugarcoat it a little bit.
Come on with it. Let's go.
It's stressful.
Yeah.
To say
Yeah.
the least, was very stressful. So, like, I personally hadn't worked with choreos in a minute, so it wasn't something that I was, on the road, like doing just choreographing and performing. So it was something I had to like pull out from somewhere else and just starting getting used to it. I used to do that more, but like years ago before the US.
Yeah.
So I was kind of out of that comfort zone. So that was already one struggle. We were training for the team, but it was different, right? So this case was just the 2 of us, like, so it's a whole different type of focus and interaction. So I was very outside of my comfort zone when we started. But we were like, they were backing us up, right? Like Paul and Luisa were like, nah, you guys got it. We're gonna help you out. It's gonna be fine. We got you. Like, no worries. And I was like, it's gonna be fine, right? I mean, 2 months, we can do it. It's a bunch of pros here. We can do it.
Right.
So we started, and then we had already committed to not only competing in August, but also doing a few things after or before, performing,
After, yeah.
presenting the
And
performance.
before.
So halfway through, we were like, man, this is not coming along. This thing is hard. Like, we're having trouble here. We can't complete. We cannot get the sequence together. Like a bunch of things that were, happening. Costume was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, it was a little bit of a nightmare. And the time crunch, so we had the rehearsals for the team. At that time, both of us were working full time as well.
Yes.
So I had to work, he had to work, and then we had rehearsals, then we had class. Then like we had a full busy schedule.
Yeah.
And some weekends we weren't there. But June and July we were mostly there.
There's also like learning the style of each other, because I'm very methodical with some things that's like work related, like dance, and like Ayane is more like she vibes. She needs to be vibing, to make things work. So like she plays music and go on her time, and for me it's like, oh, I have to be there on that time, so I'm ready, and I give that little anxiety of like, how long do you need to be ready? Because we need to be down there, and like that type of vibe, and like we're learning how each other work and learning how make this function. But yeah, that on some moments in the beginning there were a little bit of like also little fire and miscommunication there because of the different styles and approach, But
I feel like Gustavo was very patient, to be honest. Like, he navigated through this whole thing really well. I tend to be a little explosive sometimes if I'm like uncomfortable, or stressed out. So I try my best to be very easygoing. But if I get like, if I get triggered or whatever, then I'm very explosive. And Gustavo tends to be really pacific, so he holds the whole force down. He's like steady, calm, very assertive in the things he do. So I felt like he, for many times, was just like, okay, so, okay, I hear you. Let's do your way or whatever, and then okay, we can do my way. So he was very like, he knew how to navigate things really well. I think that's like a really good quality that he has.
Yep.
And so he avoided lots of stresses that could have happened. I feel like for many times. But also there was at the end, like I was like, man, it's not happening. It's not happening. It's not happening. It's not gonna happen. I'm like, you know what? Not gonna happen. I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna go there, to show something that's not. It's just not working.
What specifically was not working that you felt like at the time?
In the sync, like we weren't hitting the music, we weren't able to do the movements because we were trying to do some things a little more complicated.
Yeah.
But we didn't have that experience between the two of us. So like, you go social dance. There is things that you can do with one person and things you cannot do with somebody else. And I mean, you are the same you, but the other person, they come with their own skills. So we had to adjust a lot to fit with each other. Like he was saying, each other's style. So there was a lot of learning in the process. So we got a lot of help from other coaches, and choreographers, and they came with their own input. So they were like, oh, I think here, instead it would be nice if you guys did this. And then we were like, okay, we can try and do this. And then we try that, and it doesn't feel natural, but we only have 2 more weeks. And we need to make that feel natural in the beat and look musical, and it cannot look stressful while doing it. So I was like...
And the process of like competing, like we probably had like 5 routines created to have one routine ready,
Yeah.
Because like you go over the moves and I do it. Oh no, I don't like it. Change, and then no, okay, no. Or then you figure something else. Oh, but that looks like that. Let's change that other thing, and like until you have it ready, it's like a lot of, and then you need time to get on the flow to feel on your bones, and then you can actually dance the routine, not just execute it. So it was a process. I think like till the day of the performance, our best time was the day of the performance.
Right.
Because before, like if you performed on the competition the way we did on any of the rehearsals before, we would not win the competition.
Yeah. On the day of, we were like inspired. We got all the saints. All the inspiration. Yeah. It came along. So it was nice. On the day of, we were like, ooh, we delivered it.
That's good. It sounds like, because I remember playing basketball, like there was an energy before we won games and we played very in sync. There was an energy that you could look back into the warm up or the whole day before the game and feel that it was just good. Like we're gonna murder whoever shows up. That was the feeling that y'all had that day?
On the day of.
The day of, right?
Only on the day of.
Yeah. It was like I like performing, and like I am a different person when I'm on stage. Like I'm very calm and stuff. Like even when I'm rehearsing, I'm trying to understand the process. I'm a lot on my mind. But when I'm on stage, like whatever is there, and now it's like the performer, So it's a different behavior, So it's almost like not being myself, It's a different me, and also learning how to adjust, because sometimes like when I'm on stage, I'm like and that could translate sometimes in extra energy to her that could take her out of balance and stuff. So learning how to balance all of that, see like how much can I be without being on her, you know? So that's the one of the things. But yeah, I felt like the day of, it was fun because some people came after, people from the team, they watched us like rehearsing, because after the team rehearsal, we always like do one run of our routine there, so people would watch, so get like used to. And there was this girl that came after we did the competition, and she was like, when you got in, I was like, whoa, who's that guy? Because the energy was different. Like we went like with like, we're gonna do it. And honestly, I messed up one thing on the day of, like there was, but I don't know how I was able to connect with her and fix, because there was one thing that was supposed to be one direction and then the other direction, then the other one, and we wound up being facing the audience. But I did one direction, this direction, the same direction. So I was like, I was able to, like, on the transition to finish, I was able to make it more circular and finish on the direction I need to. You watching the video, you don't say it, like, nothing happened. But on my mind, I was like, you know. It's like Inside Out, that movie, you know, just like it, like,
Right. Yeah, no, on the day of, it's like, once we're here, like now we're here, there's no other way around. Like, we're here, we gotta do it. But up until the day before, we were like, should we though? Like,
yeah, I just like, personally, I'm more like, I committed to do it, I'll do it, you know? And that was something that we had a lot on the moments before. Like, there were moments that she was like, oh, I don't know, if we don't have something right by this date, we should not do. And I said, we're doing.
And I was like, oh my God, we performed like a week before in a different event. And
it was horrible.
Like, we did the shorter version because we didn't have an and for the choreo yet. And it was like, oh my God, we forgot the beginning. It was like a nightmare, it was just a shit show. And I'm like,
That was very bad.
I mean, how can we take this over to the competition stage? It's like, no way.
That was 2 weeks before.
2 weeks before. Yeah, 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, we changed the whole deal. Like, it was a lot. But thankfully, I mean, you know.
Thankfully that event happened before, right?
Right.
So I was like, okay, that's gonna be it.
It was a humbling moment for us. Like, oh man, we did it.
I've never blanked out performing in my life. It was the very first time, and I was like, I got there, I was like, because it changed so much. I was like,
We changed on the day of, like a few hours before.
That's
we
tough.
changed. We cut the end just so we would make a shorter version.
Yeah.
And we changed the intro as well. So it was like, oh, which one we go with?
so I got there, I was like, I don't know what to do now.
And then that makes sense though. It's you've practiced so much. You're practicing the same things, the same timing, and then the same day, you're changing two big things: the intro and the not exit, the ending. So yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, and the pressure, like, because I was already feeling very uncomfortable for the fact that we were doing that. Like, we shouldn't be changing like in 2 weeks before competing, right? That's how I felt. But I mean, we didn't really have everything put together anyway, so. But it worked.
And when you look there, like I'm still today when I watch the video of the competition, I'm still impressed. Like Ayane there is like a different one. Like it's like she's so much more expressive. Like her eyes are so like strong, you know. Like you look at her eyes like tum.
But the same thing is sad. I think like when I'm on stage, I totally feel like I'm sometimes taken by another beat. You know, people are like, Jack and Jill, for example, Ayane, oh my God, I did so well. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what just happened. Like,
Who is
I
that
literally
person?
am like, who is she?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, it's the vibe.
But I guess because the only experience I had before with her was that event before, I got like, oh, no, like, I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And then afterwards, I was like,
Knew her.
Okay, I see you.
There's another her.
I think, I think you're professionals. Like that's just what professionals do. That's what performers do, and people that I feel like put so much hard work into something to have a high quality of performance or high quality results. So. You won, didn't you?
We did, yes.
And there's a lot of, and talk about the competition. Like, there have been pros that have been there competing longer than you. You guys are what? I mean, you've been dancing, but to do a competition,
yeah,
you know,
be a
it's
team,
different.
definitely was like very very humbling experience as well, because I got there not expecting to win the competition, because we knew that, you know, as much as we think that we're good separate, we like new together, so we need to make that mix work, you know. So we're like, well, we got here, just have to do a good show and make sure that we delivering our best, and that will give us some visibility, and you know, that's it. That's what it came for. And yeah, like that was how my mindset was. And honestly, it was funny because I was before that event, because Paulo and Luisa, they have a special way of giving us some pressure, you know. So one of the things that they do a lot, and I'm going to deliver that here on the video. So, yeah, they used to say, "Oh, so I heard that so and so are competing," you know.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
Like a coach.
Yeah, and I was like, man,
Oh, really?
I was like, oh, they are. I said, fine. So I have no pressure, because if they're competing, I'm max second. It's fine. And then when I got there for the tech rehearsal, they were not there. And I went on social media. They were teaching elsewhere. And I was like, well, maybe they're coming tomorrow for the competition.
Or
I don't know, you know. So we never know who actually is competing till the time of. And then I was like, well, they were not here on tech rehearsal. Maybe, I don't know. They didn't show up.
The event,
They didn't make it to the event. I was like,
just an extra pressure.
okay.
Like, just to give you guys some extra pressure, like, let's put it together.
Yeah. And like, we're now talking about doing next year, because we want to, like, we didn't do this year because we're teaching and like the studio and traveling a lot. Like,
really busy.
it's adjusting. But next year we want to do.
No, next year we are actually doing just.
We're doing. Oh, look at that! I like it.
We already spoke about it.
Yeah,
So
we're doing next year.
Fix it up.
it's already an agreement.
And we also heard like that so many other great arts will be doing, and I'm excited about it. And maybe like high level competition.
Yes. Yeah, I never really had that spirit, you know, the crazy feeling of like I'm a competitor, I want to win. I know people who are like that, man, I'm not taking second place is losing. And I'm like, bro, like second place, third place, fourth, like you're participating. For me, it's like, let's do the teamwork. But that was a really cool experience, you know, like, because I had the same feeling. I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go there, have the experience, you know, try something new and see how it goes. Maybe we like it, maybe we get a trophy, but whatever. And it was really fun. So last year was crazy busy, just a whole nightmare. But now we're going to do it again. Now I'm like, okay, we have to do a really good job, because we want to be, I want to feel like we're bringing a competitive dance, right? It's not like we're just gonna go there for a little showcase. Like, we're gonna go there amongst the best, so we want to have like something really good. Maybe we get a first place, maybe we get a second place, I don't know. Maybe third place, maybe we don't get anything. But we're trying to like really bring something really good.
That's it.
No. I'm team Ayane and Gustavo. We getting first. We getting first. And if we don't, we don't. But we getting first.
I got it first. Yeah, here you go.
So we want to do first place. Quality
Again,
job.
yeah.
Yes.
I told her if I get first again, we get in, and I retired.
Yes, right. And this year is gonna be harder, so.
It will
if
be
we
so
get
hard,
first,
yeah. But I'm excited.
We can take it
Retire,
home, just like
yeah.
chill. Yeah. It's like, okay.
Go back to Brazil and, you know.
Hang the dance.
For the people that are going to see this interview, other dancers, other people that aspire to be instructors and kind of follow the same path as you. Well, let's say they want to dance, right? Or compete. What's your tips on finding a good partner?
That's a good one.
That's a good and difficult question.
Yeah. Do we start now?
Sure, why not? Actually, somebody yesterday was just talking to me about this, you know, this girl was talking about this one guy. They've been talking and considering, you know, possibly working together. And honestly, I feel like it takes a lot for you to find a good partner. Reason why so many people don't have one, because you need to find somebody whose interests will align with yours. So that's like the main starting point, I would say, right? Somebody who wants the same thing as you do. So you guys want to like teach together, want to compete together, want to choreograph, perform, showcase, whatever. So you gotta have like a common goal to begin with. Then you need to have some sort of dance connection, right? Like a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of like same language. If you get one person who's like super, let's say, Zouk planta style, for those of you who don't know what I mean, it's like, right, you just like, Zouk planta is like a funny name that we call when people dance Brazilian Zouk, but they don't really move much, they just stay in place, they work on the breathing and like small isolation type connections. So you're just like in place doing very micro movements, right? So this is one vibe. Then you go to somebody else, you can have on the opposite side somebody who's like lambada style. The person just dances like 150 BPMs all the time, moving nonstop, traveling the whole ballroom. If you try to put those two people together, it's probably not gonna be the best, outcome in a dance. It might be, but I don't think
Yeah.
so. There is that, right? Like you gotta some sort of way have the same like idea for a pet, and have some slightly sort of like connection background, something in your dance that already aligns with the other person. Because even though if you will have to change a little bit in you or in the any partner, both of you
Both
will
should.
evolve and change together. But there should be a minimum common ground that you can work with. So I would say that's like the first small two requirements.
Yeah, and then moving like to make it work, like you need to have availability that works, and like also being able to not let external issues interfere too much, because sometimes like for example we dance partners, but there are relationships that are outside of that, and there are like life, work, like many things. Before we lived in different cities, so there are a lot of things that happens, and there are many arts that they do that some even live in different countries and they partner. So finding how to make those gaps smaller and making all the noise like not a big issue, it's the main thing, I think, to make it last. Because otherwise you're gonna be like always hitting the bumps and giving up, because that's what happens. Like it's so easy to give up. Like it's not easy to get to a place, but it's possible to get, and it's easier to get to a place than to maintain. To maintain the focus once you like were able to experience once. Like it's so easy to say, oh, I won once. Why am I competing again? I won once, Or like, oh, we did it, it's done, it's fine, let's move on and do something else, because I don't want to keep having that effort, because to be good at something demands training, demands effort, demands pain, It's not just like the good thing. And dance, it's a different environment because it creates that vibe of, oh, you work with what you love and so and so. So it is in a sense, but at the same time, it demands a lot of effort, because if you get out of diet, then you start being in a shape that you could social dance, but could you perform? Probably not as well as you were before, because everything influence, like trying to be active, trying to take care of your body, of your sleep, of your, health in general. Yeah. So that's a big part of like, to be able to be good with someone, you first need to be good for yourself, So a lot of times people try to rely on the partner only and feel like, oh yeah, my partner will do the job, it's fine. I don't need to, because she'll be able to handle it. And that's not fair. It's not fair. And then when things start not being fair, you also bring issues to the partnership. So I think it's a lot of understanding how to navigate, how to communicate, and also be able to be clear with the communication. because we had a few bumps on our road, but like honestly, comparing to so many partners that we know, it's too little. Like our communication is good in a way that we understand each other and we appreciate each other and we respect each other, you know, in a way that, okay, we trust that you're gonna do it. We trust that at the end of the day, I can be mad at one thing or you can be mad at me at one thing, but we know that
we're there, we're there.
we know that if you say we'll be there. Even if you're like upset, we'll be there and we'll deliver, you know.
We'll make it happen. Yeah,
make
and
it
then
happen.
figured it out. That's true. Yeah, I mean, the partnership, I guess, like there are some levels to it, right? Like as we talk, I'm here thinking some people just want to have a person with whom they can practice. Like I've encountered lots of students who are like, oh, I wish I had somebody with whom I can practice just so I can evolve a little quicker, right? Which is really important, I feel like. You go to a regular class, you take private lessons, you go to the congresses. It's not the same as if you have somebody with whom you can meet up like 2-3 hours a day and just go over something that you have learned and and like repeat that several times, right? Quick visitor. But
Checking on the wine.
just how much we've drunk up until now. I only opened the bottle, like
You remember, right?
so now. But yeah, so it really depends. Like if you're just trying to like have a friend, you know, with whom you want to train, just get better for yourself, for your social dancing, it's a one thing. But if you're really trying to like commit to becoming, you know, a professional working with dance, then it's almost like a relationship, like a marriage, to be honest. So like it gets to that level, you know, because you're sharing expenses, you're talking about finance, you're talking about your routine, your schedule. So it involves a lot, you know, like it's your free time that you could be dedicating to something and you're actually going to choose to practice. Or you're busy already, but you will choose to make time to practice and train. So like for us, for classes, it requires that we meet up front and plan a class, or, you know, we prepare in some sort of way. So if we are training, if we're competing, if we're taking private lessons, then, you know, that's time that we're taking away from our fun, just to be like, okay, let's focus on, you know, the development of our professional, you know, partnership or professional dance. So you really need to know where you want to go with it, and the other person needs to be aligned, you know, with your thoughts. It cannot be like, oh, I want to do this for fun for a little bit of time, and the other person's like, I want to do this for my life, you know, I want this to be my career. It's not going to work. It's definitely like in some point you will, you know, start going different ways. And yeah, communication obviously is super necessary just to make sure you continue to be like aligned, you know, with the other person.
Yeah, like Ayane does a really good job on this. Like she sometimes when she feels like we're not necessarily going the same direction, she says, "Hey, you need to talk." And then I was like, "Okay, there we go."
There.
And then
Let's discuss the relationship.
Yeah, discuss the relationship. Let's do it. So those moments sometimes they're harder than others, but I think that every single time we had those conversations, we left like relieved because at the end of the day, I feel like we are matching ultimate goals, you know, and I think we also we being a similar age helps us on that sense of like, oh yeah, like we're in that phase of our lives.
You're
and,
older
yeah,
though. Let me just clarify.
That's what she said.
The shade.
Do you
I
think
want to
so?
be young forever, but
I think I'm younger. But yeah, like those conversations, they are really helpful. So if you have any type of partnership, it's very important to keep track of, like keep checking, not because you have an initial agreement that they will last forever, you know, like have to see, hey, things happen, things change.
people
Where are you
evolve.
now? Yeah. What do you want now? Are you still like good with this? Can we adapt something to make it better? So that's like,
And I'm emotional, right? Like I am very rational.
Can you say that one more time for the people in the back?
don't cry.
No, but no, for real. So like sometimes I'm like, I get, overwhelmed by so many things that are going on. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna choose my whole life track. I'm gonna change it actually, I mean. So I'm gonna change the whole thing, change all the plans. Then I'm like, Gustavo, come here, let me see what you're thinking, what you're doing, what are you going? He's like, oh, this is this and this and that. I'm like, okay, calm down, Ayane, just chill the fuck down. All right, okay, cool, but cool, we're on the same page. Let's go, keep rolling. Like, keep moving was just a pause, like, just a little glitch, just a little.
And as an artist, I think that we have a lot of that needing to get external reassurance sometimes, like the applause from the audience. So that's something that drives us a lot. So sometimes we're doing things and feel like, okay, we're doing it, but when we get like the actual feedback, like for example, when we go teach an event and they want to hire us again, or like when we teach a class, a student come at the end and mention how much that was important for them, or they use it on social dance, or they teach someone that goes to Jack and Jill and do better than was doing before, and come back to us saying, hey, I want to just appreciate you because that class helped me so much. Like that type of feedback, or even recognition from our peers or our coach instructors whenever they come and say something like, really? Like you're joking? We have a little bit of that, the imposter syndrome sometimes, and being able to deal with like, come on, I've been doing that for 20 plus years. I kind of know what I'm doing, but we still feel like we need that confirmation and reassurance to keep moving. So thank you guys for doing so.
Yeah, because it does happen. Like sometimes it's like, is it enough though? Am I qualified? Like, am I good enough? Like, should I be there? Those questions do come out,
And the
every now and then.
the purpose of life, because we at this age we start thinking more about what is the purpose of what we do, So whenever we see what it can help transforming lives, we feel like, okay, that's the reason why I do this. But sometimes we get lost on
On the sauce.
yeah, on the noise, and I feel like, well, I don't know what's going on, and like you need to like center again and be able to resurrect.
When you're saying that you may be emotional about something, right? Or, I don't know, elevated in your thinking, and it's awesome to have maybe a partner that also doesn't elevate with you, but do you feel like he kind of stays centered, and maybe a calming
Yeah.
in those moments?
Yeah. Gustavo feels like he's very grounded as far as like being very like rational. He's very mature in this aspect of like he has the plan, he knows what's up. He has good memory too, like my memory's trash. So sometimes we talk about something and I'm like, oh, did I say that? Like we agreed on that? I'm like, damn. But thanks for remembering, right? So, but he's really like he's really good at like sticking to the plan, right? So sometimes I'm like, I get like overwhelmed by everything else, and I'm like, maybe this is not it. Whatever, something else, other priorities, blah blah blah. He's like, well, for me, whenever we discussed when we started, this was it, blah blah blah, because of that, and with this direction and with this outcome, blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, brings clarity back, So he doesn't. He's a very like. He's very empathetic and very. I don't know, but he doesn't add to whatever is going on, right? So he doesn't add fire to add fuel to the fire. So if I'm already feeling some sort of way, he doesn't like get more aggressive or get extra stressed or whatever. He has his own feelings and he understands what I'm saying, and that helps me go back to like, okay, listen to the actual situation and circumstances and get out a little bit of just feeling whatever is there and like think clearly. And I'm like, oh, okay, like you remove the fog from the eyes and like, oh, okay, I can see better. So it's grounding. It's like it's good.
Yeah, but I think it's part of because I it's super rare for me to feel that Ayane is on that stage and is fighting against me, you know, because I'm really good at being grounded and helping when I feel that we're a team, you know, like when I feel that we are on this together. And that's the feeling that I have from her all the time. Like I've never felt that anything that was going on was like between me and you. Like I'm like having this because I'm done with you, you know? And I feel that in general, my life, when I get to a point where this fight is between you trying to raise your voice against me, then I get the Leo on me. And then I get, you know, I grow and I'm like, you don't talk to me like this. Yeah. And I don't allow it. Then when I cannot be as grounded. But with Ayane, that never happened because I always feel like we are on the same team. So every time that I feel that she's like overwhelmed, it's like overwhelmed with her emotions, with what's going on with her life, with what's going on with her decisions. That will impact me, but it's not like I'm doing that because I'm done with you, you know, type of a thing. So I can ground and do better, but in this specific environment, just be clear.
No, and I mean, at the end of the day, we're humans too, right?
Yeah.
So we have our life, our personal lives, we have our jobs, our families, relationships outside of dance. So this is a choice. Like we're here because we chose to be here, and it's been working. And I think we had one fight up until now. I think we had one fight. So Gustavo is really like, he was really chill. And I'm chill too. I try to be chill. Sometimes I'm extra crazy, but most of the time I'm chill. So, you know, sometimes I just vent a little bit. But it's like we can keep like a good, you know, flow between the two of us. So I feel like that's why it works so well. And
that the one fight we had was one of the best trainings we had.
Right,
after.
there's that too.
We were like, and then like we vent out everything like, okay, let's dance. And like all that, you know, energy, aggressive energy went there.
We
was
were
like
so
a good
creative.
dance.
We were like, we did some things we never done.
It was like so good.
Yeah, it was nice. We gotta fight more then.
Dang it. I'll retire.
No, but for real, yeah. So like we ended up releasing the energy like the best way.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was nice. It was just me being emotional that day.
Two of us.